WECU 1570 AM and W298BX 107.5 FM, Winterville, North Carolina. WNOS 1450 AM and W272EK 102.3 FM, licensed to New Bern, North Carolina.
Motivations with Glenn.
Good day, everyone. Thank you for tuning into Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU. You are tuned into the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn, and Apostle Jacqueline Williams. As we get started, I just want to say briefly, I will praise the Lord at all times. His words and his praises shall continually be in my mouth. I was recently asked, due to my near fatal motorcycle accident in 2010, would I change anything? My response to everybody was no, because that made me who I am today. I love who I am today, and my fellowship with God, helping to reach out, help other people. So no, I wouldn't change a thing. Here's Apostle Jacqueline Williams.
Hey, Dr. Glenn, and to our listening audience on today, we are so glad that you took time to tune in with us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have another part 2 from our show on last week. And so I'm sure that we're going to give out some good things here and some more information. And we were talking about the freeze on the SNAP benefits on last week. And we have some new updates. And there were some things that I promised that I would bring to you. And I made sure that I found out this time. I didn't come back empty-handed, Dr. Glenn. I did what I said I was going to do.
And you did it. And with that being said, here's the first article of that, and then we'll get to the document.
In North Carolina, SNAP benefits may be delayed because of the ongoing government shutdown. SNAP, or the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, helps scores of families put food on the table. Officials with the Dare County Department of Health and Human Services say they got a letter from the federal government warning November benefits could face disruptions, affecting thousands of North Carolinians who depend on those benefits. Jeremiah Beatty joins us in the studio with more at What's at Risk. Jeremiah, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Dana, there is a lot of confusion. Leaders are trying to learn what the government means when they say disruptions. Does it mean benefits won't arrive on time or not at all? I spoke with the executive director of Beach Food Pantry in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, who heard about the notice and is already preparing to help. But she says if benefits are delayed or reduced next month, it won't just hurt those who receive them. It could reach beyond SNAP users. The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Resources received this letter from the federal government warning food and nutrition benefits could face delays if the federal shutdown continues. The notice creates uncertainty for food pantries trying to support those in need.
Know that the folks that are receiving these SNAP benefits are vetted and that they're, typically the most vulnerable.
Elizabeth Silverthorne is the executive director of the Beach Food Pantry in Kitty Hawk. She is already hearing panic from families.
Those folks are legitimately scared that they're not going to be able to have, food on their table and feed their kids. And, for seniors, they're not going to be able to eat.
Silverthorne says in Dare County alone, 1,100 households and about 1,900 SNAP users would be at risk if cuts happen in November. But she adds even those who don't rely on food assistance programs are even struggling.
We live in an area where they make more money than they would need to qualify for federal assistance, but they don't make enough to survive.
Her food pantry is working to ensure people not only around Kitty Hawk are covered, but communities as far as Rodanthe don't go without. Shoppers in Currituck County say they are already seeing changes at the grocery store. Some are worried about talks of more programs on the chopping board.
I understand steps have been taken to cover the military and all, but they're not covering everybody that needs to be provided for.
It's a concern for this shopper because she feels many consumers are already having to make tough choices.
I think they're going to be faced with doing without or eating lower quality.
Other shoppers like Gunnar Langley, who is expecting his first child, is noticing expensive prices, but is adjusting to the times.
Everything's definitely higher, going up little by little. It's definitely wearing a hole in people's pocket.
Governor Josh Stein issued a statement about the notice sent out to several North Carolina counties. Governor Stein says the longer the federal government remains closed, the more families will hurt. He noted more than 800 National Guard members missed their paychecks and warns more active duty service members in North Carolina could be at risk if Congress doesn't act before the end of the month. Now, Governor Stein also pointed out that more than 1.4 million North Carolinians rely on programs such as SNAP, and over 260,000 women and children depend on the WIC program. He's calling on lawmakers in Washington to end the shutdown, saying every day that passes puts more pressure on families. Jamari Beatty, 13 News Now.
Okay, that was an audio clip on the state SNAP recipients worry about benefits amid government shutdown. Apostle, we have 4.5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Glenn, I want to say that we are very glad, from just last week to this week, to know that many people received their benefits or partial. A lot of them received partial benefits, and some are still waiting, but a lot of people did receive some portion of the benefits, and that the emergency conditions that we saw on last week, or even the panic and anxiety that people were feeling, didn't come to pass. They received some of their benefits, or there are some that received all. Dr. Glenn?
Yeah, and if you would go to page 2 of that document, it does say that SNAP recipients in the state of North Carolina receive any November benefits. And it says that partial SNAP benefits loaded onto EBT cards in North Carolina. Full benefits could be added as soon as this week. That was posted on Friday, November 7th. Apostle, we have 3 minutes.
Yeah, so, like I said, we're grateful to see that it's not as bad as it was. But then now, Dr. Glenn, before we get ready to go out on our first break, I have a couple of questions. I'm the questionnaire here. There was a big number, 13 million that was pulled over, and I believe that some of that money was donated by other people to take care or to fuel the food banks just in case the SNAP benefits didn't come through. So now I'm wondering what happened to the money. Did they take it and put it back? Because if this was emergency money, then it should have been returned to the emergency fund. But what about the people that donated lots of money? What happened to those funds at this point? I wonder, I may have to, call up the governor or somebody. I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything telling me what was happening to the emergency money, and did they, in fact, fund those food banks?
That's a good question, but I think you're gonna have an awful time finding the information. If you call the governor's office, I'm sorry to say you're probably gonna not get to run around, but there's gonna be a lot of calls transferred to various departments because you're just not gonna talk to the governor. Now, we have that same page. It's a 3-page or 4-page document. The last page is bad, so when we come back from the break, we'll try to reach out to you with one more other information. We took the disclaimer off the broadcast because we actually got these information from the various sites itself, such as the governor's office, the DHS, Department of Health and Human Services, and other formats. So we have validated the information from those sites. Apostle.
Yes. Hey, we have just began this show and we're getting ready to go out to our first break. And we want to give you the opportunity to call in. If you want to call in and have something to say on this particular broadcast, you can call in and be live on the air with Dr. Glenn and myself. The phone number here in the studio is 252-756-2008. We have more information that we want to pass out to you. We're going to talk to you about it. But again, I have to say how thankful I am that it's not as bad as it was being portrayed. And it's nothing to panic about, that people are being fed and that the SNAP benefits are being released partially. But I have a couple of questions that I want to throw out there, and we want to have you callers that are listening to be able to call in and participate on what you think on some of the issues that are concerning the SNAP program, that we want to just throw out there. It's not necessarily our opinion, but we want to put it out there and give you the opportunity to call in and respond. Dr. Glenn?
That call-in number, once again, 252-756-2008. But be reminded that you will be live on the broadcast. This is a Christian station, so monitor your language. Thank you very much. We'll be right back.
My name is Jayla, and you're to see to my papa, Glenn Jonson, on the radio.
Footprint Small Event and Conference Center. It's located in the heart of downtown Greenville at 304 Evans Street. Welcome to Footprints, a clean, family-friendly event space designed for unforgettable moments. Whether you're planning a private celebration or professional gathering, Footprints offers the perfect setting for your vision. It's ideal for conferences and workshops, baby and bridal showers, birthday parties and special celebrations, community classes and meetings. You can create your own event or have it beautifully designed by our experienced event planner. Because here, you don't just host an event, you make memories that leave footprints in your heart. 304 Evans Street, Greenville, North Carolina. Plan your event today. 252-412-3169. 252-412-3169.
Hello, my name is Dr. Wiley Nifong. Thank you for listening to Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivation with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Williams here on WECU, 1570 AM and 107.5 FM, Winterville, Greenville. Also, WNOS, 1450 AM, 102.3 FM, New Bern, WYLT LP, 100.3 FM, Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and WBIS LP, 106.9 FM, Espanol, Winterville, North Carolina. Apostle will continue. We have quite a few documents that we're going to get together, but I do want to mention, Apostle, before we end the broadcast, the various differences between the EBT and the SNAP benefits. And the EBT card, exactly, if you don't mind. We're going to continue the broadcast. This is another 10-minute segment. Then we'll be back, with our final 30 minutes of the broadcast. Apostle.
Yes. Hey, I want to first say, and we should have said this at the top of the hour. I had it on my paper and I skipped over it. I want to say Happy Veterans Day. And we know Veterans Day was yesterday to all the vets and those that have served in the military and military forces. It would have been great too, Dr. Glenn, if we could have did a little trivia on this. And so we may look at that on the next Veterans Day. But it's also Thanksgiving, the month of Thanksgiving. And so I know we're going to do something on Thanksgiving this month before the month is over.
Absolutely. And one thing about Veterans Day, the word veterans itself doesn't have an apostrophe because we don't want to exclude anybody, we want to include everybody. So it's Veterans Day without an apostrophe to include everybody. Also, to the families, the wives, the mothers, the children, that when the father might have served or the wife might have served, their family served also. So keep that in mind. Everybody served in that family. Apostle.
Definitely, Dr. Glenn. And I think I've mentioned on this particular platform more than once that I was an ex-military wife. So that's how I know so many things or some things about the military when you talk about it, because I was a ex-military wife.
Yeah, so you didn't don a uniform, but your husband served. Therefore, technically, realistically, you served also.
I served when he was gone, and I had to do things alone. And not only that, but I was in a foreign country for the first 4 years. I was in Europe, and I didn't know how to drive. I didn't know the language, but I learned and I navigated many things over there with the military's help. There were different things and places that I could go and ask for help. And I did. I got my driver's license over there. My first license was in Germany. It wasn't here in the States. And so there was a lot, and it was a great experience. And I just say, I'm not pushing the military, but I'm saying it was a positive experience for us.
Yeah, I'm not pushing the military either, or these restaurants have the free meals on Veterans Day. And I changed up. I attended one yesterday, not 3 or 4 like I normally do. I attended one restaurant. I waited for an hour to eat, but it was absolutely good. I'm not going to mention the name, but people that know me know where I was at.
Well, Dr. Glenn, so you're hitting up 3 and 4 on the day of Veterans Day.
Yeah, but I narrowed it down to 1.
So you narrowed it down to 1, and you had 1 meal instead of 4 that you would normally have on the other.
Actually, I had 2.
You had 2, okay. Wow, still. I know that there were some people that do that go from one place to another, but the lines are usually so long. From what I remember on Veterans Day, those restaurants, the lines are pretty long. And so I applaud anybody that waits.
That second one I was at, the line was astronomical. But like I said, I was an hour early, so I waited. I had a good spot. I was right in front of the door when they opened. I escorted everybody in.
Wow. Dr. Glenn, I just can't believe you're eating more than 1 meal.
Yeah, because what happened was the first one, I got a free cup of coffee, half a tuna sub, and a free car wash.
Okay, so you were restaurant hopping. That's what I want to call it. You were restaurant hopping.
I was restaurant hopping, yeah. Basically, yeah, if you want to call that, that's right. I was restaurant hopping. I got a free cup of coffee, a free half a tuna, turkey sub, and a free car wash.
That was good that was a good haul for the first restaurant. And the second one, what did you get?
That's everything. It was a buffet.
Oh, wow. You got a free buffet. That is something awesome.
I parked my chair right at the buffet.
Well, and we want to thank those restaurants that honor the veterans on those days. I remember those days, and even after the military, if I would go out on that particular day, my son served in the military as well. And so we would always go hanging out with him on those days, and he would get a chance to eat free, and we had to pay.
Yeah.
So that's how I know a little bit more about it and how the lines are so long. I wanted to say here and start out before we go right back into our subject today about the SNAP recipients, that the government shutdown that resulted in the SNAP benefits delay is the longest in American history. This is the longest government shutdown. And I can remember back myself, Dr. Glenn, for a few years or a few terms where they were threatening to shut down the government, and they were working on whatever it is that they're working on at this time with the budget or whatever they're trying to do, and they never got to this point.
Yeah, not only just shut down, but back in the 70s when they had the gas shortage. Do you recall that?
The what shortage?
Gas. When lines were long. In order to get gas, the lines were so long, they wouldn't buy your plate number. They switched it up. Odd number would go one day, even number would go another day. I remember going to the gas station with my mother at about 2 o'clock in the morning. We didn't get back home till 9 a.m.
See, I don't remember that, Dr. Glenn. I don't remember. Maybe, see, I'm a little step younger than you. So I don't remember. If you were a kid then, I probably was a little bit, maybe too young to remember it. But I don't remember that at all. But I do remember seeing gas prices and things were like 99 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
And not where we are today, where it's almost $3 a gallon.
Yeah, but even so, with the 99 cent a gallon, they even got a gas shortage. Just a shortage of gas. It would run out of gas all over the place. So you had to go one day or the next day to get gas. I have some pictures with a guy in line with a lawnmower trying to get gas. With a lawnmower, a push lawnmower.
Well, I tell you what I do remember, Dr. Glenn. I do remember the full service gas stations where you would drive up and somebody pumped your gas and they would clean your windshield off at the same time. I do remember that.
And that's the way it is still in New Jersey. I think New Jersey is the only state that has that still. You have to somebody has to pump your gas and clean your windshield. Other states, you have to pump it yourself.
Well, we know right here where we're at that we have to pump it ourselves, but I would love to have that service. I probably would be lying to a gas station that offered that just because you don't want to get out and pump the gas. It would be great to have one of those stations. I'm just throwing out a business idea to somebody here that maybe you can grab it and pick that up and do that particular full service station.
And I was going to say that you just don't want to get out of the car, right?
I don't want to get out of the car. It's hot. Sometimes there are bugs that are trying to attack me. I remember one night I felt like I was fighting for my life because there was a big bug trying to get me. So I really would. The luxury of that would be great to have somebody pump it for you.
But the downfall, before we get back to our topic, the downfall of going to the attendants at the gas station is we ask them to check the oil. Are they really checking oil? Do you really need oil? Because I know they have a thing to do. They'll pretend that they're putting oil in your vehicle where they're covering up the bottle nozzle. You think that oil is being inserted in your car when it actually is not. Then they'll take the bottle out of the oil filter well, put the cap back on and put it back on the shelf. So those are some of the things they were doing.
Wow, Dr. Glenn, that's something. Of course, with every system, there's going to be people that take advantage of it and people that are not honest that work within that system. But, you can't fake put no gas in because that hand is either going to move or it's not. And so that's why I would love to have that service reinstated.
I would say something, but I don't want to incriminate myself. So I'll leave that alone. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome Radio 107.5 FM.
I am Miss Mary Cox. I'm Killer Thigpen's mother from Awesome Radio.
Awesome Radio Network, WECU, 1570 AM, 107.5 FM, WNOS, 1450 AM, and 102.3 FM.
Can one of your church members sue the church? Stay tuned.
If you're in ministry, today's legal alert is just for you. Here's attorney David Gibbs Jr.
I truly wish I could say it didn't happen, and it absolutely shouldn't happen, but the short answer is absolutely yes. Church members sometimes sue their own church. They can, and they do. We have sadly had to defend numerous churches from its own disgruntled members. It's vital that your church take the necessary steps to protect yourself from such an eventuality. We strongly recommend that you have specific language present in your bylaws to address these situations. Let me repeat that. Have specific language present in your ministry and church bylaws to address these types of conflict, including mandatory arbitration provisions. Be sure that the document has mandatory arbitration provisions. Call our offices at the Christian Law Association if you need a template of language on this precise matter.
Call the Christian Law Association 24 hours a day for legal support. Call 888-252-1969. That's 888-252-1969. Or if you prefer, 888-CLA-1969.
We're back. You're listening to The Glenn Jonson Show. You can reach Glenn at glennjohnsonshow@gmail.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Jonson Show. Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU. I want to ask Apostle, this is our final 30 minutes of today's broadcast, so I want to ask her if she want to go to the Food and Nutrition Services food stamps. We'll do a document on that to give you some information. Here's Apostle Jacqueline Collins-Williams.
Hey, Dr. Glenn, we will definitely go there next. If you don't mind, I had a question that I wanted to put out right before we went on the break and leave it as a cliffhanger, but we missed that time. But I want to put it out there and solicit some phone calls from our audience, that is our listening audience on today. In one of the statements that says here on one of the documents that it was actually from that audio that we shared earlier, it said that SNAP benefits should be for people who are unable to work. And so I want to pose that question to our listening audience on today. Do you think that the SNAP program is being taken advantage of? And do you feel that people that should not get it, that are able to work? And I do. I want to say, Dr. Glenn, that I'm mixed on it. I don't believe totally that people that are able to work, that all people that are able to work should be excluded from the SNAP program. I don't believe that.
That is a good question, because actually I do know one gentleman. He's able to work, but he has some mental challenges, I believe. And that mental challenge is what keeps him from physically working. So he's on the EBT card. He has an EBT card that's loaded every month. Rather than SNAP, he has an EBT card, but he's able-bodied, able to work. I think he's held back. It's just his mental capacity.
Yes, so I do, and I would have mentioned that as one, Dr. Glenn. So the way that I feel about that, and this is strictly my opinion, it's not Dr. Glenn's, it's strictly mine, it's not the radio station's, it's mine and mine alone, and I stand with that. And no, you can't call me about this, but Dr. Glenn, what I feel about that is that I feel like there are people that are on getting the SNAP benefits and they have they're not mentally capable of working, but they also need to be identified.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's where the issue comes in, is that there are people that are getting, and they look like, well, man, he should be overworking or she should be overworking, but they have not been identified by the system that they are mentally disabled and not able to work.
Yeah, on one of the documents, it does mention facility. And I know this gentleman had attended this facility. It's for medical treatment. I know one is in Greenville, and I'm trying to think of the name of it, but I can't.
But if they're getting care and they're under where they're getting some type of care or seeing a doctor about it or some type of medicine for it, I think that there is an exclusion that should be there with those that are mentally disabled. But those that are mentally disabled, but yet they have not been identified, they need to go and they need to be checked and they need to be identified so that it doesn't look like you have people that are able to work and they're, taking advantage. It looks like they're taking advantage of the system while others are not. I also believe yes and no. In that case, Dr. Glenn, I believe no, that people that are mentally challenged, that are not able to hold a job, they should be able. It's a touchy subject. That one gets to be a little bit of a gray area, I feel like, for me. But I also feel like those that are not mentally challenged and you can work, that you should be excluded from the program with exceptions. And these are the exceptions that I believe, Dr. Glenn. I believe that if you lose your job and you're able to work and you need help just for a little while you're in between jobs, I do believe that they should give benefits to those people to help them, because you're in a time of need. But I do believe that there should be a cap on it, that you should not be able to stay on that particular system when you're able to get up and work and just be on it for years and years and years because you lost your job.
Yeah.
I believe that there should be a cap, that there should be a cutoff time. And after that cutoff time, 6 months, 9 months. And after that time, you should be able to get back up and get another job.
And I was trying to think of the name of that facility, medical treatment, but I'm trying to find it on one of the documents. I haven't found it yet. I'll think of it before the broadcast ends. I possibly have 4 minutes before the next break.
So I'm going to, again, ask if you want to call in and give your opinion on this particular thing, or what's any of the statements that we've mentioned today, that you could call in and be live right on the air with us. What do you think? I do think that sometimes there is abuse of the system when people are on for years and years and years and years. I understand sometimes mothers with children, they're not able to get a job, or people that are just starting out in life. Sometimes they may not have a job, or they may not even have the job skills or have a door open to them because they don't have experience. So that is another case, Dr. Glenn, where I believe that there should be some help for them. And even though they're able-bodied, but there should be a cutoff date where you have to get up and you have to get a job. And then, one of the documents said something about finding and accepting suitable employment. What is suitable in the mind of one person may not be suitable in the mind of another. I'm thinking about a relative that I have, Dr. Glenn, and they went and they were getting back into the job market, but the job that they were on is a hard job. And the particular relative said to me, honey, I am almost 40. I'm not 20 and 19 like these young people that are out here slinging this stuff. I can't do it like they're doing it. There needs to be, how are we going to gauge that, the ability of certain people? Because some at that particular age are still in the best of shape and they can do those jobs that the 20-year-olds can do. But then some others, they can't. Like myself, Dr. Glenn, I just want to say this. Years ago, I had back surgery. I can't be lifting stuff and slinging it. I got to take care of that back. I can't do some things that I used to do when I was younger, but I can work, but I'm limited in that area of not being able to lift a whole lot, not being able to stand, for 12 hours a day and not being able to sit for 12 hours a day. So I have some issues there, but then, so I have to be selective with what kind of job. So I want to say that there's some, and it's a lot that goes into this thought process with who is eligible and who should not be. Dr. Glenn?
Yeah, I was still trying to think of the name of that facility. I believe it starts with a B. It's possibly a P, but I'm looking through the documents to try to figure out what that name is. I left my phone in the car. I'm just trying to think of the name so I can bring that forth to our listening audience.
And then the one other thing I want to say before we move on is that there are people that do work and they struggle with not having enough to feed their family. They're paying their bills, they're working the maximum hours, and some even work 2 jobs and still don't have enough to pay their bills, because sometimes what is considered by the state is enough to live on is not enough to live well. It's just enough to bring you a step over the poverty level. And so people, they don't expect you to have a car note. You have a car note, you have to have insurance. There are things that your kids need that they have to have yearly, including new clothes and things that they make. I mean, my goodness, as the woman said on the particular recording, there are people that work, but they still don't make enough to make it. And those are people that may need the SNAP benefits, and they also work. Dr. Glenn, what do you have to say?
I think you said it exactly, what people need to hear. And I think on one audio was something about the people that need to work, and particularly some folks in Greenville, North Carolina. Did you recall that, seeing that?
As a document?
Well, yeah, I think it was on one of the documents, yeah.
You know, I think it was on the audio that it mentioned that.
Oh, yeah, that might be right. Maybe we'll have to play that audio before we leave the broadcast, because we still have 10 more segments coming up if you take us up to the break.
Hey, we still have a few minutes, 2 10-minute segments, and you can call in and be live on the air right here with me and Dr. Glenn. Let us know what you think about it. I know I missed a few areas and a few things, but this is not the end all to be all. Hey, we will be right back from this break in a moment. Awesome Radio. We'll see you in a moment.
Keep it locked right here to the Glenn Jonson Show.
This is Bible Principles with Dr. Gene Getz.
Psalm 79 describes a dismal and gruesome scene. Jerusalem had been destroyed by the Babylonians. Listen to what one of the sons of Asaph wrote.
God, the nations have invaded your inheritance, desecrated your holy temple, and turned Jerusalem into ruins. They gave the corpses of your servants to the birds of the sky for food, the flesh of your faithful ones to the beasts of the earth. They poured out their blood like water all around Jerusalem, and there was no one to bury them.
This happened to the people of Judah because they continually disobeyed God and turned to idolatry and immorality. But the good news is that God responded to their prayers of repentance. In the very same psalm we read, "Do not hold past iniquities against us. Let your compassion come to us quickly, for we've become very weak. God of our salvation, help us for the glory of your name. Rescue us and atone for our sins for your name's sake." Well, throughout the centuries, many professing Christians have turned away from God. But the good news is, God still hears sincere words of repentance. Jesus made this clear to the church in Laodicea as recorded in the book of Revelation. "As many as I love, I rebuke and discipline. So be zealous and repent. See, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and eat with him, and he with me." So as believers today, let's not forget this principle to live by. To experience continual forgiveness of sin and intimate fellowship with God, we must acknowledge our sins and then walk in God's will.
The Bible principle you've heard today comes from the Life Essential Study Bible by Dr. Gene Getz. To hear today's principle again, go to BiblePrinciples.org.
You're listening to our newest edition of the Awesome Radio Network, WNOS, 1450 AM and 102.3 FM, New Bern, North Carolina. The Awesome Radio Network would like to thank all veterans and their families for your willingness and sacrifice for the freedom of this country, the United States of America. Thank you for your service. God bless you. We are Awesome Radio Network.
Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. You're still tuned into the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivation with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Collins-Williams here on Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU, Winterville, Greenville. With apostles, I would like to ask you if we can go back to that 20-second audio clip that mentioned Greenville. I want to hear that again. Then I have to go out to my car to research something.
Hey everybody, SNAP benefits are at risk of being suspended on November 1st. So if you are in need of food assistance or if you're looking for ways to help, we want to make things simple for you. Just go to WRAL.com, find this page, where to find food and resources in the wake of SNAP benefits suspension. If you scroll down, you'll find this whole big list of different resources for you if you need food assistance. And if you're looking for different companies that are offering ways to support, or if you want to help, we've got ideas for you. Again, WRAL.com.
This look like for families enrolled in the program? We're asking where's the money as our Randy Ayala joins us to address some of these concerns. Randy, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, in fact, we got a lot of families across the country and in our area as well, guys. 12% of Americans here rely on their SNAP benefits every month. That's over 42 million people right now at risk of missing out on their monthly grocery money starting tomorrow. Locally, that amounts to 680,000 Marylanders, 141,000 D.C. residents, and 850,000 Virginians. Across the DMV, local and state leaders have reallocated allocated budgets to provide temporary food assistance through November. And while we know money for federally funded benefits will run out tomorrow, some are wondering how long it will take for funds to return once the shutdown ends. Now, the USDA has not said whether SNAP benefits will be paid retroactively, but social service experts tell CBS News how they expect delayed November benefits to be dispersed once federal funding resumes. Now, for those with leftover money on their EBT cards from October, those benefits would roll over into November. Now, on average, SNAP recipients receive around $187 per month. Now, Maryland and D.C. have joined a lawsuit with over a dozen other states right now suing the Trump administration for suspending these benefits, which they say is illegal. Democratic lawmakers are urging the USDA to tap into an estimated $5 billion emergency fund that could cover November SNAP benefits. Now, Saturday's funding lapse would be the first delay in SNAP benefits in the program's history. All right, stick around because in our next half hour, we're going to dig into exactly what support programs are rolling out in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia to support those in need. So could help a lot of families in our area.
Yeah, and I've seen so many stories about so many people who never thought that they would be in this position because they had these good jobs, if you will, and now we're in a situation where the checks have stopped coming in and now they are struggling to figure out what to do next just to survive.
People working every day,
Working
full time.
every day for long periods of time.
Still on SNAP.
Yeah.
And we're seeing neighbors step up in ways that, it gives you a little bit of faith in humanity to watch people take
Right.
care of each other. It's sad that we're here.
Right.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll see an end to this at some point. But in the meantime, we'll see how people are stepping up next
Right.
time we see you, Randy. Thank you.
In North Carolina, SNAP.
So let me ask you a question. If you heard that audio, did they actually say people were working and receiving SNAP benefits?
Yes, it did say that people that are working receiving SNAP benefits.
But is that legal?
Well, we just talked about it, Dr. Glenn, that
Yeah.
sometimes people work and they still need to receive SNAP benefits because you don't make enough money.
I mean,
I just need somebody to just picture in their mind, and this is one of the things that I've asked in my mind before. I said, who actually makes up the standard for what is acceptable for a good living expense, and how do they come up with those numbers? Because if you make $13 an hour and you're trying to pay rent, you working 40 hours, a week, and you're not just part-time in it, and you're actually working full-time, and you're out here, you have rent to pay, you have electricity to do, you have clothing that you have to buy. Now, let's not even get to the food, that you have food. What I guess is expected of you is that you just have nothing except rent and food, and that's just it. Who's going to pay the electricity bill? Not to mention that in this life, you may have to have a vehicle and a car payment on. What if you don't? Let's just even scratch having a vehicle and a car payment or having to pay for insurance. Let's just say you ride the bus or you take Uber, Lyft, or one of the other means of being able to get yourself backwards and forward to work. You're going to have more money and money to pay for those things. And that's why I wonder who makes up the budget to say what you're able or who makes up the standard for this to be able to live and eat. You can eat, but you're not going to eat well. You're not going to have a lot. These people are not giving, it doesn't seem like they're giving thousands and thousands of dollars. And then with the price of food and how things have increased, not only food, but the economy, period. Even rent has went up and it's sky high for a lot of places. You cannot hardly rent a place for under $1,000 a month anymore. There are a few, but you can barely do that. And then if you're on certain particular systems, they may give you low rent. They may give you, but what do you have to do to qualify for that? As they talked about the ones that work, they may not make enough money to live on, but they are over the limit for being able to receive SNAP benefits. What about those people? I was caught in that particular place, when I moved down here, not making enough, and then but making too much in order to have SNAP benefits. Don't mention having any luxuries or what they may consider luxuries like television cable or streaming or anything. And I'm not talking about being extravagant. I'm talking about just having a little bit of something. No, and not able to get your hair done. Don't mention the extra things in the house, like that you need, like toilet tissue and dishwashing detergent, just the extra things that are outside of food that you need to have or that are necessities of life. I wonder again who comes up and tells you how much that you should be able to make in order to be able to be under or over the poverty level. I want one of our callers to call in and give us some input on that on today. We still have one more segment that you can call in and you can give us some information on what you think. I just don't think that the guidelines are, fitting. Who did it and where did they go? Did they get all things on sale? Because we don't live in a society where things are always on sale. I mean, how much meat and what kind did they get? Were they just eating the cheap hot dogs and making it on that? What were they doing? Don't mention trying to buy some fruits and vegetables. I took $100 just last week and went to the store and I had a list, and on the list it said get fruits and vegetables. Well, by the time I bought everything else, I was a little bit over, and then I didn't have enough to buy the fruits and vegetables. I was only able to buy one fruit. So a lot of things you have to make decisions on, and you will have to cut things out, and you'll have to make sacrifices there, even if you are getting assistance. It's not as easy as they make it seem, and nobody's that is on assistance is living in the lap of luxury unless they have money coming in a different way. Back in the 70s, Dr. Glenn, you couldn't have a man that was living with you. A lot of times now, the ladies, they on all of these systems and getting all of these things, and they got a man helping them. You used to couldn't have that. They would come to your house and look for the man. You couldn't have it. You used to get visited to make sure that you weren't living an extravagant life. Dr. Glenn?
Also, they would cut you off. I remember that. Yeah, they would definitely cut you off.
Yes.
If they found a man in your household.
Well, a lot of them now. And that's how they're living. Those, to me, those are the things that are taking advantage of the system. Because that man can be there and not contributing to the family, but he can be there living off and eating the children's cereal and right over there. And I know that it's people's business with how they live. But if you own the system, I believe you have a responsibility to be honest about the amount of money that you actually have coming in.
Yeah, which is why for this last 10 minutes, I will go back to explain the difference between the EBT and the card. What is that card again? EBT is a SNAP benefit. I will give you an explanation of that. So we'll be back with our final 10 minutes.
My name is Jayla, and you're to see to my papa, Glenn Jonson, on the radio.
Okay, we're back right quick. Now we want to get into SNAP versus EBT card. What's the difference? SNAP is the government program that provides food assistance, while an EBT card is the physical debit-like card used to access bills benefits. You can't use SNAP benefit without an EBT card. Bank account. EBT cards can also be used for other state benefits like cash assistance, TANF, or Medicaid. So it's possible to have an EBT card without any SNAP benefits on it, because that card maybe just for medical, rather than have benefits on it. Apostle, you see that?
Dr. Glenn, that's the one that you had last week, and I didn't bring it in here. So you want me to talk about which portion of it?
Yes, I think it's at the top portion.
SNAP is the name of the government program that provides food assistance, while the EBT card is the physical debit-like card used to access those benefits. You can't use SNAP benefits without an EBT card. So you're going to have the EBT card, and the EBT card is a system used to spend the SNAP funds, similar to how the ATM card is used for a bank account. EBT cards can also be used for other state benefits like cash assistance, the TANF, or Medicaid.
And that's the part. So you can use the SNAP benefit just for to access your money funds or medical benefits.
Yes, so, Dr. Glenn, I have no clue about the Medicaid part, but I thought that if you were on Medicaid, that you had a different card that said Medicaid, because it can't be all on the SNAP card, because some people get Medicaid and they don't get SNAP. They don't get any SNAP benefits, so you're not handed out the EBT card unless you're getting, it has to be that you're getting both.
And that's what I'm thinking, because, the Medicaid card is separate. There's a separate card for that.
Yes, so before we go off, I want to make sure that I gave, and I kept my word. I did go look up on the DHS site, and I looked up where the food banks are. That's what I said I'd bring back, Dr.
Right,
Glenn.
that's right.
I do not want to close this show without keeping my word, and I did. I went, and it had you to put in your zip code. So I put in the zip code, and these are the food pantry places that it gave out. These are the names of the places, and I also have the address. If you want that particular document, we can have Dr. Glenn to email it to you, so you can email Dr. Glenn and he'll give it to you. But I want to say, it says here, the Memorial Baptist Church, and the address is 1510 Greenville Boulevard. And it says Tuesdays 1 to 2. And second and fourth Tuesdays drive-through. It says St. James Methodist Food Pantry. The address is 2006 6th Street, Greenville, North Carolina. And there's one more here. It says St. Paul Episcopal Church Food Pantry. The address is 401 East 4th Street, Greenville, North Carolina. And it's from 1 to 3 p.m. So I want to say that for certain, these are not the only food pantry places that they are, or churches that are giving out food, because I personally know of some other places that have been a great help to the community that are passing out food, and they're giving out food to help different people. So this is not the one and only, but this is the three that were on the DHS website when you put in the zip code for our area here. These are the three that popped up. Dr. Glenn?
I want to encourage everyone not to hold back on the locations of these various pantries. Somebody might need help. So if you know any of the food pantries or food banks, please share that information with your residents, your neighbors, your friends, likewise, because they might need help. They might need your assistance. So just don't hold back. Just to keep the available food for yourself. Just share it with others to help them.
And I want to say, a lot of them are giving out a lot of canned food. Some of them are giving fresh fruits and fresh meat. It depends on what the church has signed up for, and that they have the capacity with refrigerators or freezers to be able to store that food and keep it fresh. So there's some that only give out fruits and vegetables. Dr. Glenn?
Exactly, because you want to be concerned about the safety and quality of the meat that's being distributed. How long has it been there? Is it contaminated? Is it not contaminated? Those factors. So you definitely want to make sure that you're not receiving food that might have been compromised.
Right, so they want to have the facilities to keep it cold. So that's going to determine also what the different places or organizations or churches are giving out, because they have to have the facilities to keep that food cold.
Yeah, even like when you go to these fairs and different things, don't think that the health department hasn't been there to examine these trucks. I know for a fact that the health department has been there to inspect the safety and quality of the trucks, of the food trucks, of the vendors, various vendors. So keep in mind, these food items are safe because they have been inspected.
Well, Dr. Glenn, I don't know, but I'm going to say this because I've been to many fairs. And maybe they have the inspection there, but some of the people I've seen, that was serving the food, at least in other states that I lived in, it looked like they just went and picked someone up that needed a place to live and maybe hadn't always, I don't know how it looks down here, but I know where I came from. It looked like they were giving people jobs that were homeless.
Yeah,
Their fingernails be dirty looking and all kinds of stuff.
that's possible. You want to make sure that they wash their hands safely and correctly. That is the number one thing. Just make sure that you're not eating something that might be cross-contaminated.
Well, I seen a few things from the fair and it looked very good. The food looked wonderful. I'm just saying, it was a couple of things that I wish I had went and tried. So I don't want to put down anybody or look at anything like that. Hey, we're coming down to the end of our broadcast here, and we know that you have enjoyed some of the things that you have heard us say. I made sure that I kept my promise and gave you the particular addresses that I got from the DHS website to make sure that you have access to a place to go get food if you need. I know that some people receive partial payments and they still may need help from the food bank.
That's right. And please don't hesitate to email me should you desire any of the information that we shared today. My direct email address is Glenn, Glenn Jonson Show @gmail.com. Once again, that's Glenn with 2 N's, Jonson Show @gmail.com. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Hope this information has been very valuable. Apostle will close us out.
I also want to acknowledge those other people that are not a part of churches. They are not a part of these government food pantries or those particular places. There were a lot of people that mounted up their particular groups or organizations, and they began to give out food and give free food giveaways. I want to acknowledge all of those people. Those people are also heroes. And even if your name is not called out individually, I want to acknowledge you and say thank you for rising to the occasion to help those that were in need and those that are in need. I know people on small scales that are doing things to help other people, even with the little that they have. Let me tell you, gathering together, even if everybody puts in their little bit, it can turn into a lot. You can make a mighty fist with each individual finger. Hey, we're glad that you tuned in with us on today, and we are looking forward to you coming back on next week. I threw out some topics. Keep your ears open and keep your mind open. We will be coming forth with new things on these coming weeks. God bless you on today. Dr. Glenn?
I just want to say we'll be back next week. Hopefully we'll bring forward some safety tips and some other concerns about the Thanksgiving holidays approaching. So please join us next week for another fabulous broadcast here on the Glenn Jonson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Coles-Williams. Apostle will close out the broadcast for 20 seconds.
Hey, be safe. And we're looking forward to you coming right back here next week. We're going to have something else that we're going to be excited about and to share with you. Hey, we're looking forward to seeing you on next week. Hang in there with us, and we know you enjoy the show. Email us and tell us how you're enjoying these particular shows and topics. Hey, we'll see you right back here next week. This is the Glenn Jonson Show on Awesome Radio.
I am Miss Mary Cox. I'm Killer Thickpen's mother from Awesome Radio.